Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be looking at how you think they feel versus how they really feel about you and the connection. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Unakite, along with these cards. Group 2 is the Pyrite, along with these cards. And group 3 is the Cobra Jasper, along with these cards. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Unakite, along with these cards, which will be some guidance from Spirit that we'll take a look at the end of the reading. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards and tap into first how you think they feel about you and the connection. Okay, so we have walking away, self-indulgent, insecure, freedom, growth, and balance. So with walking away and freedom, kind of a double confirmation message there, that seems to be an impression that you have, maybe something that they've said or something that they're portraying on social media, that they feel better being apart than in the connection. There's a sense too with these scales, and although this says balance, the kind of the sides of the scale are very much lopsided, and so this can really indicate an impression that they are giving you at this point in time of not really having a desire to participate in sort of evolving this connection past maybe that point of ending, that point of walking away, something where you really feel that you're the only one invested in the idea of renewal or of kind of fixing this or creating some kind of peace or smoothing out the waters between you. With this idea of self-indulgent, this can also tie into kind of this lopsided scale here. Somebody who is really putting their own needs first and foremost, somebody who, is really giving the impression of not being very concerned about how you feel in this circumstance, kind of what you have been left with in terms of questions or in terms of disappointment. There could also be a sense with this idea of insecure of somebody who's trying to overcompensate, somebody who's making a point to say, post a lot on social media about how great they feel being free from this situation, how wonderful their life is in this kind of stance of freedom, how they're reaching their dreams, they're reaching their fullest potential, that the life that they've created for themselves is something that's very much in alignment with all of their hopes and dreams, and kind of a sense that they are really giving you that their interests and their path and their desires are kind of pushing them in another direction, that instead of having some kind of interest in, again, reinvesting in this situation, renewing this situation in some way, that their greatest contentment comes from focusing on other things. And again, with this idea of sort of this insecure energy and this, again, lopsided scale here in the balance card, that there is this idea of sort of overcompensating, overindulging, maybe turning to different kind of vices or obsessions as a way to kind of outwardly distract from the connection, or to, maybe kind of present some kind of image that what they want, what they need, what they desire is maybe a little more superficial in nature. It's a little more surface than what the two of you had touched on in this connection with each other previously. Kind of the depths of intimacy, the kind of electric connection that the two of you shared, that this person is giving the impression of that not being in alignment with sort of what they envision for themselves in this lifetime and in this situation. somebody who is, very content to kind of let this river of time sort of pass without taking any steps to kind of cross that, to bridge that gap between the two of you. Somebody who is being very kind of secretive as well about their emotions, not letting a lot of that show. It's kind of a similar imagery here on these two cards of sort of these flowing bodies of water. And then these figures, both the figure of the person and the figure of the rose, kind of hovering above these things. So somebody who's not letting a lot show in terms of the true nature of their feelings, the depth of feelings. Somebody who's just kind of projecting very surface level at this point in time, and is really giving the impression that they are not interested in investing in kind of the depth and nature of what you had shared together previously, or not having a desire of investing in that type of relationship in their life in general, or at this time in general, that they're very much content with kind of filling their time and space with otherness, with again kind of superficial connections, things that kind of lack depth, things that maybe look good on the surface, that kind of stroke the ego, but that don't apparently kind of build and expand upon this person at a soul level. Somebody who, is not demonstrating any kind of evolution or growth in that capacity, any kind of introspection, but is just kind of continuing to avoid these things. And in kind of tandem with that, there's this energy of avoidance, of kind of turning their back on this connection, looking everywhere other than at you, everywhere other than at what has taken place. Somebody who might, kind of have ghosted you, or is just kind of ignoring you, or hasn't really taken note or responded to any efforts you might have made to reach out, any kind of subtle innuendos you might have given with this idea of kind of this animal or this beast on the self-indulgent card. They could have been very combative with you, very vicious, kind of a venomous side of them, a very defensive side of them having come out. They may have really lashed out at you at some point in time, or even a little bit of passive aggressive behavior may be going on, where there's a sense of social media is coming up very strongly. So only take this if this resonates, if you are able to see this person, what they post on social media, and if they have social media. If that doesn't apply to your situation, this can even just relate to kind of how they've responded to you physically in the 3D sense, in terms of if you've tried to reach out, or what you're sensing energetically from this person, that they're kind of turning their back on this connection, and efforts that you have made to maybe reach toward them with compassion, with kindness, with some kind of an olive branch, some kind of a, an energy of wanting to, invest in this, to kind of right the wrongs between the both of you, to bring peace and stability back into this circumstance that it might have been really met with, again, being ignored, or being kind of confronted by this very combative and defensive energy or response, either directly or indirectly, by this person. So they're giving a lot of impressions of, being very content to kind of let the opportunity that presented itself in this connection continue to pass them by. That what they're wanting to focus on is, again, things that are more of kind of this surface level, things that are not, kind of holding all of that energy and components of this higher level love, or of a connection that really sparks and kind of instigates their growth. Somebody who's really sort of trapped in that shadow side, and doesn't seem to be giving any impressions of a desire to kind of move beyond that. Somebody who also might be, you are feeling that they are kind of associating you with this sort of shadowy energy, with something that they would want to turn their back on, that they would want to ignore. Maybe seeing you as being too aggressive in this connection, pushing them, pressuring them too much, and that what this has responded, or how they have responded to in this is, again, this kind of lack of balance. Somebody who is, you're feeling that you two don't share the same goals, or the same ideas, or, even the same interests in terms of this stage of your life in general, and in terms of how much, or, how deeply you're willing to invest in kind of fixing the situation between the both of you. And so it is noteworthy with the scale here on this balance card. You might be dealing with a Libra in this situation, and then kind of these two images with the river with the water here. That's tying into water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. So let's take a look now and see how are they really feeling about you and the connection, to see if it kind of does match up with this, if they're kind of feeling that the best direction to continue to move in is further away from this connection. They're seeing this as something kind of fighting the urge or kind of the invitation that you've extended to them to invest in this, to grow beyond these circumstances, to kind of end some sort of a stalemate, put the past behind the both of you, and kind of start fresh with a clean slate. Let's see if that kind of your impression matches up with the reality of what they're really feeling about this connection and about you. Okay, so we have insects, support, lower world, past, birds, freedom, learning, inner child, and the eternal light of love. So interesting, first and foremost, that we've got the confirmation again of this idea of freedom here on the birds card that was also showing up here in the freedom card. So with this kind of these birds, and then also all of these birds here in the inner child card, this can really talk about communication. This can allude to a desire that they have to reach out that they might not be showing to you. Something where with this idea of the lower world and past, they've been reflecting a lot upon what has occurred between you. With this idea of learning, some seeds that you might have planted within them, things that you might have said, your last interaction, maybe even kind of that vice versa energy of if you're observing them on social media, they're observing you on social media, and the ways in which they are kind of witnessing how you are handling this situation, how you are seeking the lessons out of these circumstances, despite how painful this ending between you or the current state of things might be, that this person is really looking to you as an inspiration of kind of transcending difficulties. They might also be kind of looking into and seeing what is going on in your life at this point in time, kind of taking the time as well to really investigate and look at themselves and really reflect on kind of how they showed up in this connection previously. And they're starting to see that a lot of the defensiveness, or maybe this energy of ghosting or running from this connection, perhaps moving in the direction of situations that were a little more surface level, demanded a little less of them in terms of ascension and growth. All of this really stemming from some kind of inner child wounds, something from their past or their upbringing that had instilled in them kind of a fear of commitment, kind of this emotional avoidance within them, sort of when the levels of intimacy between the both of you reached this level that you were kind of bordering on some unhealed wounds within them, or kind of the next step was needing to be taken as far as taking off some kind of mask, stepping into that vulnerable place that it really it frightened this person on a level, and they took off running in the other direction. And this has been something which has not been lost on them in the period of time since you've gone into this separation. They have been reflecting upon this. With the idea of insects, this brings to mind insects who, have this exoskeleton. It's this hard kind of shell. Whereas, humans and mammals, our shell is our skeleton. It's kind of worn on the inside with sort of the soft flesh coating as that exterior kind of body. And it's the reverse with insects, where that sort of skeleton, that shell, that it's that armor on the outside that protects that very soft internal landscape. And so this really ties in with the idea of the impression that they are giving you, whatever they might be focusing on, or the ways in which they're kind of ignoring you. They're not, reaching out. They're not kind of accepting the olive branches that you have to offer, maybe even being a little bit defensive in that capacity, either energetically or even kind of in a 3D sense, or they may have been very sort of combative or defensive towards you, just very blunt and kind of cutting off communication, or sort of rejecting offers to reconcile. All of that is really, it's this mask. It's this external sort of protection that they are having to put up because of this kind of soft center within them that they're accessing. These deeply embedded kind of wounds within them that have been triggered by this dynamic, by the energy exchange between the both of you, by what has happened in the aftermath of this connection and what they've really reflected on. This is somebody who they might not be giving that impression, but they are doing that internal work. They're going deeply within themselves. They are introspecting. They're getting a lot of maybe even signs and synchronicities, things in their external environment that keep drawing their attention back to what has happened with you in the past, to where they're not able to fully walk away from this as much as they might be trying to distract themselves. There's some kind of a lesson at play here, some kind of a healing that is taking place, again, in that kind of internal level that at this point in time is just really being sort of masked or guarded or kind of kept from you. With this eternal light of love, this really speaks to, with this imagery of kind of the angel. It's like Archangel Michael with his sword of truth there, and kind of this heart chakra, this heart space here, that is really talking about, again, this healing that is taking place, this clarity, this truth that is coming to this person from this internal landscape, that is not being shown, it's not being spoken of, but nevertheless, this vibration is being projected out. The lessons are not lost to this person. They're starting to recognize how they have kind of run from love, as opposed to, kind of leaning into that place of nurturing, that place of safety. And that this has really, brought up and kind of dredged up a lot of these unhealed wounds, these things that they've been needing to release and let go of and transcend, all of that taking place on the internal level. With this idea here also of all these zodiac signs, this is bringing to mind the idea of the Wheel of Fortune out of the tarot, the major arcana of the tarot, and kind of a season that this person is in, a phase that they are in, that wheel turning into a more favorable direction. It feels that clarity is needing to come to this person internally first and foremost, because before they can bring or deliver any kind of concise communication to you, something that can really liberate the two of you from kind of this holding pattern that you find yourselves in. That a lot of this work is, again, taking place internally. It's not being spoken of, but vibrationally they are emitting it out. They may also kind of be telepathically trying to communicate with you at this point in time, words that they are not yet comfortable with speaking, words that are still forming within them. And kind of a vibrational sensation that they're giving you, that they might be saying one thing, or their silence speaks volumes, but then even from the higher self level, they're communicating with you. They're making their presence known, which could be adding to a lot of confusion for you. What you're seeing in the 3D versus what you are sensing energetically from this person, and kind of this element of needing to balance that also within yourself, making space not for either or, but for and, both for the circumstances and what this person is displaying in a 3D sense, and also what you are sensing energetically. That there's a lot that's being transmuted and released within them that is very necessary before they are at a place of being able to provide some kind of communication to you, which is being thought about. This is being contemplated. This is being reflected on, the ways in which they communicated with you previously, or maybe didn't communicate with you, maybe just kind of closed off, put up that wall, ghosted you, retreated off into themselves, started being very kind of combative and sort of pushing this connection away, as opposed to, really expressing that maybe they were triggered, or that the connection was somehow outside of their comfort zone and something they weren't necessarily prepared for, that they took kind of a different route to that. And it's something that they're really having to come to grips with, to come to terms with, to really reflect and see, where is this stemming from? What was the motivation for that? Learning a lot about themselves, a lot about their motivations at this point in time. And kind of the more that they're learning about themselves, the more they are able to see kind of that polarity between sort of the shadowy aspect that they were operating from, that kind of lower nature of fear and triggering, and contrasting that with this very high vibrational love that you represent, that this cup of love that you had to offer. And it's this process of kind of creating this balance within themselves first and foremost, in order to be able to create some kind of positive balanced change in this circumstance moving forward. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now and see, what do they want you to know? What do they want to say to you? Okay, they say, I have emotional baggage. So this is definitely tying in with that idea of inner child wounds, a lot of things that are unresolved within this person that have really kind of bubbled to the surface, that their attention is being drawn to, that they are in this process of really clearing these things up within themselves in order to be able to create some kind of marked change in this situation with you, needing to come to that place of peace and self-acceptance before they are able to present something of value to kind of smooth out the chaos and the troubled waters that you have experienced up to this point. And they also say, soon, very soon, we will reunite. So there is this desire to, again, make some kind of communication, make peace in the situation, balance the scales between the both of you. But that it's still, with this idea of soon, this isn't, immediate. Soon is kind of a relative term. I think it would best defer to kind of in divine timing. Progressively, this person is doing this internal work. They're doing this shadow work within themselves. Kind of learning about themselves, maybe learning some new communication skills, learning some of their motivations, where a lot of these things stem from, in order to be able to kind of master these triggers rather than being kind of a puppet on the strings of the shadow side of themselves. Somebody who might also be kind of holding themselves back from communication because of almost this internal kind of battle between the head and the heart, this balancing that is taking place or is needing to take place within them. In order to be able to learn more about themselves, their motivations, kind of what has sparked a lot of their actions in their life and in this connection up to this point, in order to be able to discover a better way, a new way of kind of going forward and doing things. They also say you are not forgotten. So even if this person is giving the impression of being very unbothered by the circumstances that have occurred between the both of you, somebody who is, just kind of out of sight, out of mind, that this is, again, with that idea of an exoskeleton, this is a wall or a front that they are putting on that is really hiding some deep and profound feelings that they have for you, some deep and profound recognition that they have as far as kind of a major turning point, a lesson that this connection has afforded them the opportunity to experience and to endeavor upon. They're seeing you as an example, as this eternal light of love, as this very pure and high vibration that they have encountered that is quite contradictory to what they may have surrounded themselves with in other ways, romantically speaking. It's a contrast to what they even grew up around, the love you had to give or had to offer. It really, again, kind of triggered some inner child wounds within them related to intimacy and kind of the reciprocity of love, somebody who may have kind of withdrawn their cup of love or rejected you in order to sort of avoid what they felt was kind of that inevitable place of rejection or disappointment in the future. All of this being brought to their attention as kind of a method which is just serving to self-sabotage them, reflecting upon what has occurred as a major sort of tool or catalyst to this development within them, to kind of turn the wheel of fate, to kind of adjust their behavior, adjust their thinking, adjust their perceptions in a lot of ways so that they can achieve and experience different results in an external capacity in love and in their life in general. They also say you are worth fighting for. So someone who might have run from this connection in the past is starting to recognize that a lot of that was motivated by these shadows, these things they had maybe denied for a long time, weren't even aware of in some cases, and that they had really fought this urge to sort of transcend these tendencies within them. There is this idea of that having shifted, some kind of clarity happening. Again, with this idea of sort of Archangel Michael in the heart chakra, kind of with his fiery sort of truth clearing away these illusions within this person. They are fighting their way beyond a version of themselves that you had been dealing with previously in order to raise their own internal vibration, in order to free themselves from some of these weeping wounds that they have carried around within them that have kind of sullied the potential that they have had in romantic connections and in this connection in the past. Person is sort of fighting their way through their own metamorphosis for themselves, and also to kind of reach this place where they are able to provide some kind of communication or some kind of an interaction with you that is more positive than what you'd experienced together in the past. They also say, I want to cry, but I can't. So this can really talk about some heart chakra blockages, somebody who's been very emotionally avoidant up to this point in time, with that idea of kind of these rivers, those two rivers that the figures were sort of hovering above. Somebody who avoided those emotions, avoided, diving into kind of those deep and sort of agonizing wounds within themselves, probably for quite some time. And it almost feels that divine intervention is taking place. Activations are taking place where they are trying to and are being kind of motivated to sort of grow beyond that tendency to avoid emotions, grow beyond sort of that misconception that to be emotional is to in some way be weak, that this is very much outside of this person's comfort zone. But there's a catharsis that needs to take place. There's some release that needs to happen. Some kind of things that they've been carrying around, heartbreaks from the past, or again, kind of inner child wounds that are needing to be purged from this person in a variety of ways, energetically, even through tears that are needing to be cried, in order to kind of clear the energy within them, clear the slate within them, so that they are able to see and recognize through experience that, touching upon these kind of layers of the emotional body, being emotional is a sign of strength rather than a sign of weakness. They also say, I wish I was more like you. So that confirms that idea of being very inspired by you, maybe what they are observing in terms of your own healing and ascension journey. Somebody who sees you as very much in touch with your emotions, while they are kind of the contrast to that and have been very emotionally avoidant up to this point in time. There is this desire to grow beyond that, to grow more in your direction. But they feel safer in the silence. All they have known is kind of walls and sort of shielding themselves, avoiding these emotions. And it is, again, more of that tendency that is kind of manifested here in this situation, and that you are experiencing with them at this point in time. But this is a circumstance and a way of being that they don't want to continue indefinitely. They do want to be able to kind of move beyond that, to transcend beyond that, to bring some of those walls down so that that soft center can be known and can be experienced. They feel very safe in your presence. And that feeling of safety can be quite out of the ordinary for them. This could be somebody who's really used to fighting and having to defend themselves, having to really, protect that kind of inner child, that internal landscape after maybe a series of devastations, or even just something that they grew up around, or just even kind of this fear, this avoidance of emotions, because they built up in their mind almost that, devastation and heartbreak are like this, it's this monster, it's this foe that they have been avoiding. They've not been certain if they would be able to kind of recover from that, a feeling of not wanting to be completely annihilated by heartbreak. And it's something that they almost have built this kind of little molehill into a mountain within themselves that they've been avoiding. They've been pushing that away. And there's a desire to kind of lean more into that, to dip their toe into those emotional waters, to wade out into that and to experience that, to let that flow, both the positive emotions and the negative emotions, knowing that, in that ebb and flow, kind of in the grand and eternal scheme of things, there is balance in that polarity. So I'm going to get the guidance from Spirit for you now, Group 1, about the situation. And we've got recharge, retreat now for important self-care. So this is really talking about, it's tying in for me with this idea of this person wanting to cry, but they can't, and a lot of heart chakra activations that are taking place. You might be picking up energetically what's happening with this person, feeling a heaviness, feeling this urge to kind of cry, this sorrow that is almost coming out of nowhere. And you're really being guided to allow yourself to move through these emotions, allow yourself to purge anything that is really coming up or has been triggered by this circumstance, or again, that you are really sensing from this person energetically. This also really ties in though with the idea of self-care, that at a certain point, if you're energetically connected to someone and they have a lot of unprocessed kind of shadow within themselves that you're picking up on, that's almost being sort of transferred to you inadvertently, or this person from an energetic stance is almost leaning upon you because the 3D sort of persona, that ego self, is unwilling to kind of face these things. It can be definitely, you know, this instinct, especially with somebody that we love, to really want to help them, in that healing, to want to, you know, help them with that work that they have kind of energetically reached out and asked for assistance with. But with this idea of self-care, there's a sense of when you sense a lot of that heaviness and a lot of that burden maybe coming from them, that now might be the time to really identify, you know, is this stemming from you, or is this coming kind of from this person externally? And if you are able to identify kind of that the root source of it is this person externally, calling upon your angels, calling upon Archangel Michael to kind of free you from those cords of experience, to lovingly and gently release this energy and these sensations from your experience, to have that be transmuted by your angels and by the universe in other ways. Asking the angels to really assist this person on their end and internally within themselves and within their own life, to start to process these feelings that clearly are coming up for them, but that they just don't necessarily have the tools or the ability or the willingness to kind of work with. That at a certain point, in the interest of your own kind of well-being, that it's important, and kind of an important lesson, some important growth, something that you're needing to learn to do, is to prioritize your own needs, your own well-being. You know, we can't do the work for other people. And while there again might be that urge to help, you're also being urged to, you know, kind of do what's best for you, sort of protect your energy, preserve your peace of mind. You've worked very hard to raise your vibration, honoring that and cherishing that, and kind of creating that exoskeleton around yourself, not in kind of a malicious way, or, you know, in a way that's uncaring, but in a way that's very loving for self first and foremost. The universe and the angels are able to really get in there and help this person a lot more than you are able to, by energetically kind of processing and holding these things and kind of keeping these things for yourself. And so again, an important kind of turning point for you at this point in this dynamic is to honor these things, acknowledge these feelings, acknowledge where they are coming from, send love to this person, but also kind of beseech the divine, that divine intervention, to help clear this out of your experience so that you can continue to move forward on your own path of kind of ascension and raising your vibration. And we also have obsession. Someone in this connection is gripped by obsessive thoughts. This can really tie in with this person who is kind of obsessing around a lot of wounds that they have avoided for quite some time, that they have, you know, kind of this fear of emotional vulnerability, this emotional avoidance. And it's been something which is through this kind of urge to sort of transcend beyond that. This is somebody who's really gripping very tightly, who's very obsessed, trying to cling to this idea of an old way of being that is wanting to be released and moved beyond. And so this can tie in again with a lot of things that you're picking up from this person, a heaviness, a sorrow that is kind of being transferred to you, and it really ties in with this obsession. This person just gripped to that point, that brink of not wanting to take that dive into these waters. It's bringing to mind almost like a child in a swimming pool up on like a high dive board, and they're just, all they have to do is just take that leap, take that jump into those waters, just kind of, you know, take that leap into the unknown, and fear will very soon be transcended. And it's kind of, that joy of accomplishment and having faced fears and really seeing that what they were fearing was kind of something that they had built up to be more than it is within their mind. But nevertheless, this person is kind of trapped at that brink, at that avoidance of not diving in, not taking that leap of faith, not taking that jump, not stepping outside of that comfort zone. And so it's very important at this point in time for you to shield yourself from that, to be aware of that this person is on the brink of change, and they are clinging very tightly to an old way of being. The divine is kind of intervening with this idea of the Wheel of Fortune. And there was also kind of that spiral vortex here on freedom, that change is happening for them whether they like it or not. That there are a lot of signs that they're getting. There's a lot of energies that are moving around them, maybe different things that are kind of triggering from different angles, bringing them deeply into self, into those wounds. Kind of in a lot of ways, this emotional avoidance, that tendency is being brought to the surface for them. There's no way to really escape that, because the time is now to transcend a certain kind of pattern within themselves. And so whatever you're picking up from them, again, send them love, but definitely shield yourself from that as best as you can at this point in time, or call upon assistance from the angels and from your spirit team for that, because this is, again, work that this person needs to do internally. You're almost a bystander or a witness to this, an energetic witness to this. You have your own kind of spiral of experience to transcend. You have your own sort of thresholds to cross, and you really owe it to yourself in this to this connection to kind of take back your power and your energy and your attention as much as possible. Kind of let this person work through this cycle on their own, of their own volition and of their own free will, and in a way that is, crafted specifically for them and for their particular dynamic, and sort of redirect that focus onto self. What can you do for yourself? What can you do to really heal and raise your vibration? What has been triggered by these circumstances, and how can you really address that? So that you're not carrying these kind of shadows and distortions around with you, so that you're not having to kind of repeat these cycles in the form of different relationships, or maybe another pattern, another go around on the merry-go-round with this person, that you're able to take that decisive action to sort of change your life, change your focus, change your thinking, change your approach, and that you can really inspire this person energetically to do the same. And we also have accept the opportunity that is offered. So this again really summarizes this idea of an opportunity for healing that is being offered at this point in time. This person kind of reaching out energetically, this person being very much connected to you energetically, wanting to take that step through this threshold, but kind of lingering there at that brink of change. And so you're really being given this opportunity to tend to your own emotional needs, to your own emotional triggers, to what has been brought up for you. Allow this person to, in their own time and manner, kind of address these things for themselves. Allow spirit and their angels, their spirit team, their passed on loved ones and ancestors to really work with them. Trust that the process that they are going through, it will create the change that it is meant to in the time that it is meant to. And kind of the best thing that you can do, the way that you can be of service to yourself and ultimately to this connection at this point in time, is to, focus on what has surfaced within you. Changing what you have the ability to change, and kind of releasing the need to get in there and offer too much assistance, or to kind of deplete yourself energetically by trying to sort of process a lot of these heavy emotions for this person, even very unconsciously. To release that, to kind of clean that from your space and from your vibration as much as possible, and just kind of focus on matters at hand, focus on things that are directly related to your environment, to your experience, things internally that you can create change in, and allow this person to, part of their lesson and part of their growth is to do that work and to take that step, to come out of that energy of avoidance and stalemate, and move towards you, create that communication, create that change in the circumstance. Continue to move forward, and this person then is really being tasked with kind of taking the steps necessary to rise and meet you at that level. So I'm going to get some initials for you. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got U, J, N, B, Y, D, H, M, A, F, W, X, P, Z, K, and V. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the video. If you like the reading, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the Pyrite along with these cards, which I'll take a look at the end. This will be some guidance from Spirit about the situation. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards and get an idea about what you think they feel about you and the connection right now. Okay, we have forceful, projecting, lust, earth sun, return to country, and manifestation. So there's a sense here that this person, you might be thinking that they are feeling that the connection was just based on things that were very superficial, lust, kind of surface level attraction, somebody who is ignoring or is denying sort of the deeper levels of energy that were exchanged between the both of you, the deeper spark, the deeper chemistry, somebody who might have moved away from this connection because they didn't see a long-term future with this, that this is something that they didn't really see, that there was any way to create something lasting and of value out of this kind of energy of lust. Somebody who, their decision, it feels with this earth sun is very much set in stone, somebody who's unwilling to compromise, somebody who's very rigid in that, somebody who has kind of left this connection in the past and has moved on in other directions, in other ways, somebody who is kind of not looking back, not wanting to retrace their steps, but kind of a decision that was made, maybe something that was said, a rejection that occurred, maybe with this idea of projecting where, they told you that they didn't feel the same way about you, they didn't see a long-term future here, maybe even that you weren't what they were looking for. It was just a connection that was meant to be a good time. It was just about sex, or it was something where, again, they didn't really see how you would fit into their life in general. If this was nothing that was really directly said, this could have just been sort of a vibe, kind of an energy that they gave to you, where they were, very heavily invested. There was a lot of passion that occurred between you at a certain point in time, and then they chose to move in another direction, maybe even returning to a partner that they had been with in the past, maybe somebody that they were in the process of kind of moving away from, and almost juggled you like an option, and sort of put you in a third party circumstance, only to, and to invest to a certain degree with you, only to kind of return to whatever that circumstance was before, that they felt that was, that had made them so unhappy that they had kind of moved beyond that. This idea of forceful, almost, expressing to you that they had no choice but to return for whatever reason. Maybe there were children involved with this idea of earth sun, kind of returning back into that sort of a broken marriage or a broken partnership, because it was the right thing to do, it was the proper thing to do, it was kind of this sense of sort of forced obligation or duty, somebody who was not operating from the heart space, but just kind of looking in a very practical sense, in a very logical sense, in a very 3D sense, maybe even things to do with finances that kind of motivated them to sort of move back in another direction. And it has left you with a lot of questioning and a lot of thoughts, a lot of almost doubt of your own intuition about, kind of what truly existed between the both of you. Is this something that you had just projected? Were you projecting a fantasy onto this person? Something that, the reality of the situation couldn't match up with? Something that, because of their actions, maybe again, this decision to move back in another direction, it's really made you, again, kind of question the nature of what existed between the both of you previously, or the potential of what can be developed out of that moving forward. There's a sense of whatever they are conveying to you it feels mostly on their actions, although this could be what they are kind of projecting on social media, this idea of, that they're very happy in the life that they are living, that it's kind of a happy family that they are in, but that all of this is kind of, it's very forced, it's very fake. There's a lot of deception there, a lot of forced smiles. There's a sense of feeling that this person almost shut down their heart space, that they are forcing themselves to kind of fit into a box that they have outgrown, that they are seeing you as almost this forbidden fruit or this temptation, that they are therefore kind of avoiding contact with you, avoiding reference to you altogether. There's a sense here of almost having kind of left you in the dust in this connection, in this circumstance, not giving a lot of clues or indications that they even think about you still. Again, just kind of rejecting you or sort of pushing you away as just almost this fling or this very, kind of temporary polarity that didn't have anything very solid to build from. And kind of the sense of rejection that has left you with, that is causing you to, again, kind of question your own feelings and, what was really real versus what was illusion in this circumstance. With the moon here, though, it does feel that there is a lot that's being hidden, that what this person is projecting, it might, and what they might, you might be thinking that they are feeling for you, or that they are feeling about the circumstance in general. There's a sense of it being very veiled, being very controlled, that you're very uncertain about the truth of what they're feeling, that they are projecting one thing that is so in contrast to maybe things that the two of you had talked about, or a side of this person that you had really seen, that they've almost shifted into somebody else entirely, which is, again, calling you to question kind of the nature of this, the reality of what really occurred between you in the past versus kind of this character that they've been able to step into at this point in time. And a feeling of that being very obvious, maybe even in terms of the lack of what they are kind of making very public, not in the sense of somebody who's a private person, but somebody who just, it's an act that's very hard to convincingly portray. That what is portrayed, what is being shown, it feels very forced, it feels very fake, it feels very contrived. It feels like something that is really put on for appearances, somebody who's kind of carrying on airs and trying to really fit into this mold or this persona. And with that, a sense of you really feeling that you're just kind of a part of this person's past, maybe something that they regret, something that they did just very impulsively as kind of a reaction to sort of this circumstance that they've then sort of moved back into, this way of being that for a temporary period of time they might have kind of broken out of that mold, but that something or many different things kind of called them back into that shell and that inauthenticity that they had been operating in the past. So it feels very a very removed impression that you have of this person, where they have their walls up, they have their guard up, and a lot of confusion on your part as far as, the truth of what they felt or what they still feel, that this is buried so deeply within them that it's very hard to even really pick up. In terms of what you're able to see and note, and even what you're able to sense energetically from them, that it's a sense of kind of the connection even energetically becoming more and more remote, and what you are left with is kind of these memories, these ingrained sort of stances of the past, and a sense of uncertainty about a certainty that you have about the meaning and the depth and the nature of these things, but uncertainty about kind of what they feel, how much they valued these things, if they even still think about or reminisce about the times that you shared, and an uncertainty about if they're truly happy in whatever decision that they have made to move forward, and a questioning about if this really was just lust, maybe what you had been projecting onto this person, this idea of love, a questioning that you were at now, as you're kind of retracing your steps, you're seeing things from a kind of a higher vantage point. Time has maybe gone on, or distance has afforded you this perspective to really question that kind of that seed or that intersection point that the two of you had really experienced together at one point in time. So this idea of earth sun as well, you might be dealing with an earth sign in this situation, Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo. And with this moon here on the forceful card, that's also bringing up obviously the moon, which is Pisces and Cancer. So now I'm going to take a look at how they really feel about you, and if it matches up with this idea of somebody who, is kind of forcing themselves not to think about this, who's very resistant to this, somebody who, is just kind of dismissed this connection as, a temptation, a forbidden fruit, a memory that they would best like not to revisit, or if this is if in some way the truth of what they are feeling is different or outside of this. Okay, so we have altar, honoring. South, abundance. Earth, nurture. Moving towards the light. Blessing. And opportunity. So a couple different confirmations in what they are really feeling, but almost on a twist or from a different kind of perspective from what you think that they are feeling. We have earth again here, which is kind of like that earth sun. So again, that confirmation of maybe an earth sign that you were dealing with. But this, to me, in this context, is really talking about seeds that have been planted, memories that they have shared with you, that have remained with them and have almost grown to a deeper kind of understanding. They've taken on a deeper gravity than what this person is letting on or what you would imagine that they are thinking about. Also with this idea here of moving towards the light, and this imagery here on return to country of kind of these winding paths, and which you may have been sensing as this person maybe return, or directly, literally was this person kind of returning in another direction, kind of going back where they came from, returning to a previous connection, a previous situation that they had been in the midst of trying to break away from when they met you, when they encountered you, and kind of move back in that direction. There's a sense of this person, even if they had moved toward that, they're transcending the idea that that is the best place for them. They have transcended the idea that their happiness lies in that circumstance. It's almost that some kind of an evolution or an advancement has taken place within them through their interactions with you, and it's very difficult for them to fit back into that box. There is a desire which is growing and has grown within them through these seeds that were planted, that have stayed with them since their interaction with you, that have really germinated for this person and are starting to become apparent for this person, that how they defined happiness or contentment before, it no longer resonates with who they are and who they have become purely by being touched by your energy. This feels as well with this idea of altar and honoring, that they have kept your memory very close to them. They cherish the times that you shared as much as they are not really making that known or apparent. There's almost a sanctity with that, that they are keeping this in a very secret place within them. This can really tie into the element of being very guarded, not showing their cards, not expressing the truth of their heart, but nevertheless that you hold a very precious place within them. They keep this connection very safe. The experiences that they had with you, the feelings that they have for you, these continue to burn very brightly within this person. They almost may, with this idea of altar and honoring, they could still have photographs of you, or have kept kind of messages you've exchanged back and forth. And this is somebody who turns to that, who looks to that, who looks back upon these things, who may even be kind of watching you from afar, from kind of a fake profile, for example, if you have social media, and somebody who just might not be able to kind of speak this out in a material sense, but nevertheless honors you, honors your energy, kind of puts you on a pedestal almost. There's a feeling of kind of unworthiness here, where this person really is kind of struggling or trying to kind of break free or break out of some sort of limiting belief that the love that you had to give at the time and even now, the love that you just represent and that exudes from you in some way that they are unworthy of that. This is somebody who, may have been operating kind of in this limited sort of mindset and this energy of distortion, and they're kind of moving through this path of their own shadows. They've taken steps back in the direction of kind of shadowy circumstances or things that were very limited, things that didn't challenge their growth but just encourage them to kind of play small with their life, feeling that they kind of have outgrown that environment, that it no longer is a place of, kind of predictability. It no longer feels comfortable. And there's a lot of growth that is happening internally within this person, where they are recognizing kind of their worthiness and their desire for something more, to step back into that light of love. And really what they experienced with you and who you are, you represent that for them, this kind of light on the horizon, this beacon, this point that they are moving toward, very subtly and almost subconsciously, energetically at this point in time. This is someone who's moving in silence, who is trying to, keep their motivations very secret from the people around them, trying to, again, kind of maintain airs, maintain that facade, but that what they are projecting, it hides or it masks something that they are holding deep within, this place of sanctity that, the connection with you represents. Those memories stay with them. These are cherished memories. This is a sensation and a vibration that they are wanting to move back toward. It almost brings this feeling of, contrary to just being a very kind of lower vibrational lust-based energy, that this is a profound love. This is a blessing of love which has touched them, that is unlike what they've experienced with anyone before. You've activated something within this person, within their heart chakra. You've made them aware of what love is, in a very profound way and in a very unexpected way. This is something where, this is taking this person time to acclimate to that idea. It's a seed that has stayed with them. It's something where, they're kind of feeling this need to kind of break trail from another direction that they've been heading in. They've been touched by this experience with you, and it's been very hard to kind of get back in line and sort of shrink themselves back down into that kind of outdated environment. This is really this imagery here on this blessing card and this manifestation, very similar here too, with this idea of the, kind of the seed that then grows into this very profound and kind of being with the arms outstretched in both of these. And this is really talking about, opportunity here. Although it says, opportunity in this card, but it is an opportunity that has been presented in this situation where kind of the ideas of what this person had of love and of their life in general up to this point, something has stirred within them. They are recognizing the opportunity to experience something more in this lifetime. Somebody who's reaching for the light, somebody who is recognizing that joy and happiness and contentment does not exist fully at the soul level with whatever they are participating in, or kind of the life that they have been leading up to this point. And although this is taking place very quietly and behind the scenes, there is this growth that is happening. There is this kind of transcendence, this ascension which is taking place. It also feels that the more this person is growing within themselves, the more that their external circumstances are really being shaken up. There's a lot of chaos and turmoil and things maybe needing to fall away as this person is kind of expanding their perceptions of themselves and of what they want, of what love should look like and should feel like, and kind of comparing that to the circumstances they find themselves in. It's also noteworthy on these two cards here, in this opportunity, and she's holding those two flames. So you might consider yourself a twin flame, or this person is your twin flame. And then also on the south card here, and we have the two penguins. Penguins mate for life, and this can really tie into, again, that twin flame energy or that soulmate energy. So double confirmation there, that this person has been deeply and greatly affected and activated by you. They are recognizing you, either conscious, for some of you it'll be consciously, they're starting to come into that awareness. They're starting to kind of do some research, maybe in a very kind of secretive manner, kind of trying to find out why they feel so strongly affected by you and what this all means for them. For others of you, this will be very unconscious, but there's this sense of symbiosis, the sense of partnership that they feel with you, that you stand out. This connection stands out above all the rest, about other things that they've been entertaining in their life, other relationships that they have had before, that somehow it's almost like they have found their one, they have found their match. And because of maybe the circumstances they had going on in their life at the time when you two intersected, or just some growth that needed to take place, some activation that needed to take place vibrationally within this person. It could have been very overwhelming to them. A sense of the two of you needing to touch energetically in order to kind of go your separate ways and do this personal growth and ascension work. But you've never not been in this person's heart. They have carried your memory with them. They have carried this forth. With the sun here appearing in these 3 cards, you could also be dealing with a Leo, or this can really talk about this urge that this person has to kind of step out of the very limited capacity that your relationship is in now, or kind of the limits of what you experienced together previously, and move toward happiness, move toward that renewal, that fresh beginning, that positive energy, that joyous energy. They're seeing you as this source of joy, this light within them, a light that they follow through the darkness energetically, or even in what they are observing of you, the growth that is taking place within you and within your vibration, some kind of glow up that you have even experienced, that you have, discussed, or is even just apparent in the pictures you put on social media. Or if you don't have social media, all of this can really be taking place vibrationally. What this person is able to perceive and feel, very connected to one another in an energetic sense. Dreams that this person is having that is kind of updating them on what is taking place within you. And it's this calling, this pull, and this urge to move towards you, to kind of lean into this process within themselves. Somebody who is really seeing the circumstances, as difficult as they might be between you, at an unconscious level, something has been awoken within them. It's an opportunity for growth, and it's a blessing. This is connection almost being a blessing in disguise. The difficulties you are facing being that kind of that ground in which friction is then necessary to kind of push beyond that, push beyond your comfort zones, that all of these circumstances are really, leading to some profound transformations, a lot of that taking place internally and quietly, but nevertheless, change is afoot, and this person regards you, as a very kind of sacred experience in their life. Maybe this need to kind of push things away, or to, kind of dismiss it, or sort of downplay their feelings, almost in a way to kind of protect this recognition that they have, that kind of the vibration they were operating at, or the life that they had built for themselves, it isn't conducive to the potential that exists in this circumstance. So even this unconscious motivation to sort of push you away, or to downplay this, in order to have that opportunity to go within, to do that internal work very privately, and kind of discover the path that is being laid out before them in terms of transcending, ideas of love, limited beliefs on love, and even limitations within their circumstances that were kind of impeding the two of you really making the most of this connection. But it's almost a parallel path that the two of you are walking. Your growth and your sort of glow up may be something that is very externally experienced, and on the flip side of that, this person is going through a lot of growth. They are having a glow up, and the internal landscape, it's kind of like this idea of as within, so without, the two of you being kind of both sides of that mirror, exchanging energy with each other through this process, kind of the two of you covering more ground in these circumstances, both that external transformation, and for this person, again, a lot of that being very internal, that process that is taking place, but that the two of you are supporting one another through from these higher realms, from your higher selves. So I'm going to get some messages from this person now and see what do they want to tell you. Group 2. Okay, and they say, will you allow me to come back? So this person is definitely growth-minded at this point in time. They are not wanting this to be the end of the story between the both of you. Somebody who is diligently doing this work internally, observing what is taking place, moving into a place of surrender within themselves, to allow these transformations to take place, to do discovery, to allow these kind of energies to flow through them. Somebody who is making profound change from the inside out. And again, this idea of kind of turmoil and things being shaken up in their environment. There's a sense that as things are really starting to fall away, or the tension is becoming apparent, where, you know, shifts are taking place or are on kind of the brink of happening. There's a sense of this person really hoping, but also questioning if on the other side of all of this, on the other side of all the kind of the wreckage or the rubble that might need to take place as they kind of crack themselves open beyond a certain comfort zone and kind of spring forth into this new level of authenticity. This idea of, are you going to like what you see as much as they feel very connected to you and are very aware of what you shared, the potential that existed in the past? Is this something because they are aware of your growth, either literally or energetically, a sense of, you know, will this be enough? Will these efforts be enough? When they grow, are you two going to be a vibrational match for each other in the way in which you were in the past? And they also say, I have maturing to do. So again, that idea of growth, somebody who is in a process of personal transformation from the inside out, stepping beyond kind of ideas that they may have had about the nature of love and partnerships, about the life they had built for themselves, a path that they were walking, something that has been sparked and awakened, somebody who is choosing the path of love, somebody who's opening up more to their heart-centered awareness and starting to really discern the life that they've created for themselves. Somebody who's needing to kind of put away these ideas of maybe even more surface level relationships, or relationships that don't challenge them, but just kind of encourage them to play small with their life. Somebody who wants more for themselves, somebody who is becoming more and is able to then have this capacity to kind of maintain and attract and participate and nurture in more in their life in general. And they also say, my heart is heavy. So this ties in also with that idea of the heart chakra activation. A lot that has become apparent to this person. There's a heaviness, kind of a disappointment in terms of what they chose to invest in. Maybe a choice that they made to move back in the direction of another partner in the past, kind of leaving you kind of on the lurch, kind of out there, uncertain and questioning, feeling very rejected and disappointed. That this person also holds a lot of disappointment as they are growing, as they are evolving beyond their circumstances. It is becoming more and more apparent to them that almost the wrong choice was made, or it was a choice that didn't serve their highest good, or it's something which they have outgrown. And so there's this heaviness maybe about steps that need to be taken also. You know, a dissolution of a marriage or a relationship that needs to take place, a breaking away, a moving away from something, a lot of big decisions that need to be made. And there's a heaviness knowing that, you know, there'll be some sorrow, there'll be a sense of loss that comes with that. But it's something that needs to be done because it's getting more and more difficult to kind of maintain that, exterior and sort of fit into that circumstance or that persona that they have outgrown and that they continue to kind of transcend beyond. They also say it's not you, it's me. So again, this idea of some kind of limitations within this person that caused them to kind of push away the intensity of this connection in the past. Something that was really sparked and awakened within them, that they are confirming as much as you felt that, they felt this too. And there is a sense of wanting to bring this apology to you for having denied their feelings or made you really question your value or worth, question the depth and nature of what you'd experienced with each other in the past, question the chemistry and the spark and the potential that was there, that this really had to do with, again, some growth and maturity that needed to take place within them. They weren't at a capacity in their life or vibrationally or even emotionally to really sustain what was offered in this connection, or to be able to give back in a reciprocal manner in a way that was healthy and that could encourage kind of the mutually beneficial growth of this connection. They also say, silence is how I cope. So that can really be a clue as far as, you know, this person leaving you with a lot of uncertainty about their true feelings and their true motivations, kind of just putting that wall up, that facade up, not showing a lot, that this is, again, somebody who might be very deeply introspective, or kind of an internal process is taking place. They're not making a lot of this apparent from the outside, but there's a lot that's germinating from within. And they also say, I'm working on it. So again, another confirmation of that growth energy. Looks are deceiving in this circumstance, that there's a lot going on beneath the silence. There's a lot that is really veiled from you at this point in time. Even energetically, it feels that if this person feels very withdrawn and kind of a stillness to this energy, it's bringing to mind this idea of almost a seed pod, and something that is really happening within, that from the outside you're not able to really perceive because of that kind of coating or that shell that is really hiding the process that is taking place within. But that there's a lot internally that is changing. This person is, very quietly and in their own way kind of exploring these things, observing these things, listening. They may have run from you in the past, but they are no longer running from kind of the sensations that are occurring within them, from the shifts that are occurring within them. This person's heart is open and active, and they can't close that off. They are unable to not see with those heart eyes at this point in time. Somebody who's in this process of really discerning truth from illusion in their life as well, and somebody who's working on kind of tying up some loose ends, or kind of working up the courage to move toward a greater sort of destiny or path for themselves than they have been embarking on previously. Somebody who, is working on kind of tying up some loose ends and really figuring out for themselves, what is the true definition of happiness and joy? What have they surrounded themselves with up to this point in time? What is in their environment? What are they investing in emotionally, physically, energetically? And how is that really paying back? Is that reciprocal, or is this something which, kind of serves an outdated version of this self, a person that they no longer wish to be, or that no longer resonates with who they are becoming? So somebody who is in this process of change and evolution. So I'm going to take a look now at the guidance from Spirit for you about the situation group 2. And we have betrayal. Trust this part of your journey, understanding that through pain, this is teaching you and others to love more deeply and in a higher divine capacity. So this can really tie into the idea of maybe somebody that chose to move back in the direction of another partner, chose someone else over you, and the feeling of kind of the letdown that you have really been sitting with, especially with this person coming across as so guarded, not really revealing a lot of their truth, or taking steps or measures to try and almost make you question the nature of what you experienced together, kind of dismissing this. Saying that it is just kind of a casual thing, a fling, nothing that they could really see, building with long term, and kind of that crushing sense that has left you with. All of this has really been kind of that friction necessary to crack open your heart in some way, to really have some compassion for where this person is coming from. Not that it excuses their behavior, but just taking that wider vantage point. As profoundly as you have felt this connection, and as much as this has really shifted you and changed your life in some dramatic ways, this person has also been affected. The ways in which you have really responded to this information and this energy have been very different. You might have been very external about that, wanting to lean forward into this, giving to this, open to this. And this person's response was to, like they said, silence is how they cope, to go within, to retreat, to need to kind of silently observe this. And they may have done that in kind of a messy way, in a way that, was stemming from a lot of unhealed distortions within them, or just a sense of overwhelm that they felt, this connection being so next level, so out of the ordinary from what they had known of love up to this point in time. But taking that wider stance that, through this pain and through this confusion, it has been an open invitation for the two of you to really invest in learning more about what love is. The journey to self-love, the journey to opening up to the potential of love that is outside of the boundaries of what maybe society deems that to look like, or the examples that were set by family or friends, or even in the case of this person moving in the direction of a partner that they had tried to leave, or were in the process of kind of moving away from, to step back into that comfort zone, to have that point of comparison, to see, is this love or is this convenience? Because they now have that perspective of something more, something greater, something that feeds them at the soul level. All of this being very necessary to make that choice, that very educated choice, to, be able to appreciate this connection, to appreciate the potential, to give into this connection, and to help to feed and nurture this connection in a way that they wouldn't have been capable of before had they not had that kind of element of contrast. So again, this is an invitation for you to kind of take the difficulties that you've experienced and have compassion for yourself first and foremost. As much as this is a process that this person is going through, recognizing this process of growth and upheaval and transformation that you have also experienced, both the highs and the lows of this, applauding yourself for all the hard work you've done, how brave you've been in facing this and stepping outside of your comfort zone, and also giving yourself license to take your time with this. There's no rush in this process with this energy of growth. That can be something which is very gradual. It can be very difficult. A lot of that work, that heavy lifting can be very kind of tiring. So taking the opportunity to kind of balance that out with periods of time where you're focused on, not just things that you feel you need to fix or improve upon in your life and in yourself, but taking time to celebrate the victories that you've accomplished as well, creating that balance and that perspective and gratitude for, just what has been sparked and awoken within you through this dynamic with this person. On the other side of all this pain, there's been, kind of this authenticity that you have been introduced to, or that you have sought and found within yourself, in spite of this connection, because of this connection, in conjunction with this connection, and in contrast with this connection. All of that polarity, it's worth honoring. This is a very exceptional journey that you find yourself on. It's a very, kind of rare experience to interact with somebody who awakens us in such a way in this lifetime. And so, with the bitter also comes the sweet. So taking the time to really kind of acknowledge both sides of that, and just take a moment of gratitude for kind of this journey and where it has brought you up to this point in your life, and also recognizing that there's still there's so much more joy and capacity that you have yet to really uncover and experience through kind of this path that you now find yourself on, these kind of parallel paths with this person. And we also have trust. It is safe to trust in this situation. So really just leaning into this period of silence, trusting that, whatever is taking place within this person internally is very necessary for whatever is to develop in the future in this connection. Trust the nudges that you are getting as far as work that you might need to do within yourself to either release expectations, to redirect your focus onto self, or even, love that you are kind of directed to energetically send to this person. Trust even in the difficult emotions that you are having, the feelings of betrayal, the feelings of, kind of dissonance or anger or sorrow that you have experienced, allowing these things to move through you, to flush out of your system, knowing that it's more than just this circumstance. It's a vibration of loss that you are tapping into, that as you allow these kind of emotional waters to flow through you, this catharsis to happen, you're clearing out more than just as what has happened here. You're cleansing your vibration in a major way that allows you to kind of open up that space to transcend, raise that vibration, to call in more joy. And we also have look through the mist, find the mystery. So this talks also about that idea of this veiled sense of what's going on here. This person being very secretive about their feelings, and not a lot being very clear in a 3D sense as far as what is happening, and even energetically, that it could be kind of rocky, almost like a fortress that is really held up at this point in time, where you're not able to kind of perceive things energetically. This is a call to redirect your focus to your own emotional waters, what is surfacing from you, allowing this person, trusting that on the other side of this fortress there is work that is happening. This person is ascending, they are rising up. A lot of this is energetic work that, at a certain point they raise their frequency so much that the external landscape changes. Those changes that happen within then take place on the outside. This idea as well with kind of that earth sun and what came up with set in stone. This is bringing through this idea, though, that nothing is set in stone. Very contrary to what you've experienced with them, what they might have said to you in the past, what you, based on the impressions that you're getting, that this is just the way it is, that nothing will change. This is really bringing in this idea that, you know, there is change afoot. It's something that is happening in a very subtle way, something that you can't see, something that you are not meant to see at this point in time. And so really to direct that focus onto yourself, onto your own kind of leg of your journey. What has this brought up within you? What sort of untended wounds could you now, best be benefited by attending to? What sort of circumstances, based on the ways in which your vibration has been raised, how you have really evolved and ascended and transcended a version of yourself that you were when you first encountered this person? How is that in alignment with the physical circumstances you find yourself in? What dreams have you been pursuing that might need to be reimagined? What space do you need to create in your life, in physical ways, in emotional ways, in kind of spiritual ways or energetic ways, to kind of call in these blessings? What can you tend to? Again, this idea of catharsis, as you are kind of cleansing out these emotional waters, you're doing so much more than that. It involves so much more than just these circumstances. These circumstances are really that motivator or that catalyst that bring your attention to some archetypes, some vibrations, leaning into that, flowing with that, finding constructive and productive ways to kind of transmute what you are feeling into something of value and worth, whether that is an artistic pursuit or just even allowing yourself to kind of feel these emotions. The idea of you have to feel it to heal it. Anything that you've been avoiding or you've been trying to really keep within, now might be the time to kind of bring that out in a more public way, to seek community, to seek others to kind of share these things with, to really get that out of where you've been harboring it within yourself, in order to purge that and process that and release that. Make space within yourself to call in a different kind of vibration, to call in the waters of harmony, to kind of replace these waters of sort of sorrow that you may have been, and confusion that you may have been really sitting with for some time. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, group 2. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. I've got C, L, K, I, X, M, N, A, D, P, Q, J, H, Y, and O. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the Cobra Jasper, along with these cards, which I'll take a look at the end. This will be some guidance from Spirit about the situation. So I'm going to start by taking a look at how you think they feel about you and the connection. Okay, so we have void, childish, self-indulgent, truth, illusions, and growth. So with truth and illusions, this obviously brings up the idea of contrast and of polarity and a degree of uncertainty that this person has about what they want, maybe in their life in general, what they want out of this connection. That they have been perhaps in the past or even recently telling you one thing, but then their actions really showing another. With this childish and this growth and this self-indulgence, somebody who has really been putting their own needs first, somebody who's not really been recognizing your need for closure or explanation. Somebody who, with this idea of void, has been very emotionally avoidant, not showing you a lot of kind of hope for restoration in the future of this connection. Somebody who is kind of looping and cycling through some patterns, some ways of being. Maybe somebody who, just kind of ghosted or cut off communication very abruptly. Somebody who might have spoken very kind of harsh words to you without really thinking about the ramifications of how that would feel to you. Maybe things that they said even just kind of in an offhanded way that they didn't really consider kind of the larger implications of that, the impression that would give you, what that kind of questions that would lead you with. And it's led you to this kind of point of uncertainty of where do we go from here? You may have really been making some changes, but there's a sense of not being sure if this person will ever kind of move beyond a cycle of immaturity, if this person will ever kind of sort of settle down and start taking life seriously. Somebody who, might have just wanted to kind of remain a perpetual bachelor or bachelorette. Somebody who really chose the single life over kind of a monogamous connection with you. Somebody who might have said that they were not looking for a relationship and then immediately just kind of jumped into a situation with somebody else after dealing with you. And it has left you with the sense of maybe almost with this idea of childish and void, it's left you with a feeling of you not being good enough. Maybe this person even saying something that you weren't what they were looking for. Somebody who really kind of, only sort of had their own interests at heart, as opposed to, those kind of immediate interests, those sort of carnal interests. Somebody who, is really kind of concerned with appearances and connections that looked really good on paper, but that lacked some kind of a depth or some kind of a substance. Somebody who was avoiding kind of personal growth, emotional growth, introspection. Somebody who might have been very emotionally avoidant. And so it's left you with this sense of almost that they have outgrown this connection in some way, or that the truth of what it is that they want for their life and for love in general, it's not in alignment with this connection. Somebody who is most content to just kind of remain in that shadow energy in a very kind of limited or stunted capacity in their life or in terms of their experiences in love. Somebody who is kind of moving further away from the direction of sort of reconciliation with these two children on this card here. It's bringing to mind almost that Six of Cups energy and that idea of reconciliation, but these two are moving away from that. So a feeling that you have, that they have really given you, that this person is most content to kind of walk away from this, to continue to walk away from this, to continue to move in another direction. Somebody who, isn't able to really get their story straight, somebody who is just continuing to kind of feed into lower vibrations within themselves, somebody who also may have really kind of misconstrued some things that you said, the intentions that you had for this connection, somebody who had kind of a skewed perception of you, and may have also really just been showing you in the past kind of a lack of sincerity, and a sense that, that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon, that they are continuing on that path of kind of denial, that the truth, kind of the truth of who they are, the potential of this connection, it's getting further and further away the more time is passing, that this person is just kind of staying stuck in place and is not taking any sort of steps to kind of work through some of these issues, some of these emotional avoidance issues that might have caused kind of a wedge or barrier in the past, or somebody who is just kind of letting time pass them by and is not getting very serious about this connection, or about their life, or about love in general, with this idea of void, the sense of not really being sure where you can go from here, what can develop out of this, a sense of, this person not wanting to invest, or seeing this connection as kind of a poor investment at this point in time, somebody who is choosing to invest in self versus in the situation with you, somebody who is almost kind of trying to maybe even erase all traces of their experience with you from their mind and from their life, somebody who is just kind of trying to ignore this, trying to ignore the spark and the potential, somebody who is feeding into and participating with illusions rather than with kind of the possibilities that existed here, and somebody who's really denying that truth of what you had experienced in the past, somebody who's really operating in the stance of denial at this point in time, and as far as being very evasive with what they even want out of this connection, if anything, in the future. So let's take a look now and see, what are they actually feeling and thinking about you in the connection, and how does it match up with this idea of kind of this immaturity and somebody who's not taking the connection seriously, not taking an ultimatum that you gave them seriously, somebody who seems to just be very content to kind of remain in this very limited shadowy vibration rather than do the internal work necessary to kind of step into that place of authenticity, to recognize and to receive and participate in this connection. Okay, so we have plant medicine, truth, west, purge, dreamweaver, accessibility, awakening, comfort, and harmony. So before we get started with this, it is noteworthy with kind of that image of the children on this card here, and that reference to Six of Cups. You could be dealing with a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. And that's really tying into this idea as well of, on the west here in Purge, that there is illusion that is being moved through within this person. Also with this kind of confirmation here, we had truth, and then here it is again on plant medicine with truth. That this person is starting to kind of move beyond some illusions within themselves, starting to awaken to kind of the life that they have been living, what they've been investing in, and awakening to that it's not necessarily sustainable in a long-term sense within themselves. A lot of this motivation to kind of entertain maybe lower vibrational connections, surface level connections, it really speaks to a lot of disharmony within themselves that they had been seeking to avoid, but that nonetheless they're in this process of kind of moving through that within themselves, seeking this greater peace within them. In order to kind of awaken the possibilities of what is possible in this situation and in their life in general. And with the two owls here on this West card and also on Dreamweaver, owls being symbols of wisdom and also of magic, this can really tie into some pretty profound changes that are taking place within this person. Almost like magic, there is a transformation that has taken place, that is germinating, that is growing, that is awakening within them, something that has really been sparked or spurred, something I feel that was really initiated almost immediately within them upon meeting you, that might have been very startling for them, something they weren't ready for, and whoever is ready for a spiritual awakening, to be quite honest. But this feels like something that was so outside of their sort of wheelhouse. Also with these kind of two lit up heart chakras here on harmony and awakening, it feels that some pretty profound spiritual change has taken place, or again has been sparked or initiated within this person, that has kind of catapulted them onto a journey into self first and foremost. And kind of the more that they are leaning into this, the more that there are all these kind of strange things that are happening in their life, maybe a lot of things that are coming through in dreams, a lot of downloads that they're getting in dreams, dreaming of you, dreaming of this connection with this idea of comfort. And this brings to mind a lot of divine intervention and angelic presence within them. Somebody who's starting to tap into a deeper empathy, some spiritual gifts within themselves, all of these changes, all of this kind of soup that is stirring within this person, this magic that is occurring, that they are unlocking within themselves, maybe even starting to recognize how kind of the choices that they are making are yielding, are manifesting a certain, type of results, and that the attention is really being brought back into self. To really understanding these things, to really getting a grasp on these things, somebody who is in the process of kind of reclaiming their power from some circumstances that may have made them want to kind of cling to that energy of immaturity in the past and that energy of void. Somebody who wanted to be kind of emotionally avoidant in order to kind of delay what they saw as inevitable heartbreaks. Somebody who kind of feared moving to the next stage of their life, feared evolution in some sense, and tried to cling on to kind of that idea of the eternal summer, this eternal youth within themselves. But it feels like with all of these kind of these circles here, these spheres on these four cards, that there's some kind of cycle, some kind of toxicity, or kind of something that's kind of played out in this person's reality in terms of maybe even social circles that they've been surrounding themselves with, or patterns or tendencies within them. They're in a process of kind of transcending these things, following that spiral deeply within themselves, and also taking this view of the external circumstances they surround themselves in. A lot of growth is happening, a lot of awakening is happening. They're starting to really be able to sense kind of the constancy of your energetic presence, despite the ways in which they had chosen to focus elsewhere, and despite the ways in which they had kind of been resistant to, maybe stepping deeper into this connection, or kind of stepping up to the plate in a certain degree in this connection, accepting that invitation to kind of move forward beyond sort of the boundaries and the parameters of what they thought was possible in love and in life in order to experience kind of the next level, the next evolution. With this transformation, with this butterfly here, which represents transformation, this again definitely talks about some kind of a process of awakening that this person is having, an awakening of their heart, where they are starting to really feel you and sense this connection a lot more acutely. Somebody who might have run from that in the past is just allowing this to kind of seep through them and pour through them. They're seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities about you, maybe maybe meeting with you in dreams a lot. They are somebody who might have been running from the truth that they feel deep comfort with you and from you. And although they are not, it doesn't look like they're really in a place of being on the brink of expressing any of this verbally, that it's something which in terms of sensation, it is being acutely felt. It's something which is very, in all four of these cards, these people have, they have their eyes closed in all of these cards, and it's a feeling of bliss. It's a feeling of contentment that they have on their face. And so, as much as is not being shown or really wasn't, properly or in a very kind of measurable way, or something that really led you to trust in the situation or to trust in this person, they do feel a deep sense of comfort with you. They do feel a deep sense of familiarity about this connection. But it's a lot of internal transformations that are taking place, a lot of cycles that are closing out, and a new version of self that they are needing to step into, that you remain with them, you remain in their heart. They're starting to really uncover and feel into, this love, this feeling of love that they had for you, that they might have just been very startled or stunned by in the past. But a lot of transformation happening within them, to where this clarity is kind of coming, these feelings, what they're really feeling about you. It's something that's kept very close to the heart. It doesn't even feel like something that is consciously known. Very consciously in the 3D sense, this person, could still be sort of operating in that idea, in that illusion that a certain lifestyle is for them, but internally at the soul level, there is this certainty, there is this knowing that is trying to kind of breach this person from the inside out. They're being really called to transcend these cycles. It's almost like the loop of gratification that they are experiencing from whatever these things are. This can even be addictions, addictions to kind of surface level relationships, addictions to drugs and alcohol, addictions to, kind of this idea of never wanting to settle down, wanting to remain free and just keep their options open. There's a sense of those cycles yielding far less benefit each time they kind of go around them, that those walls are closing in gradually upon this person. It's creating this pressure that is necessary to kind of create this jewel of wisdom within them, that what they have moved away from in terms of this connection in the past is actually something that they could really build something solid with. It's something reliable. It's a source of comfort versus just kind of this immediate gratification or this immediate kind of pleasure that they are really seeking and seeking to kind of draw into their experience. So this feels like somebody, again, with that idea of polarities, with the head and the heart are in two different places. The heart is really trying to speak, but again, with this idea of the eyes closed, it's like the head is really closed off to this idea at this point in time. But with this element of magic, it does feel that divine intervention is at play in this circumstance. This heart light within this person, this spiritual awakening, all these things which have happened, these signs and these synchronicities, the volume keeps being increased upon that. This person, it's becoming more and more difficult to kind of close their eyes to this, that what they're feeling, what they're sensing, what they're knowing, this kind of internal resonance within them, it's becoming more and more undeniable. They may still be questioning and trying to kind of push away their feelings, but the sensation is overruling that. It's overruling what the logical mind wants to say or wants to try to convince this person of, the truth of the matter, that what has been sparked in them, what they have felt with you is the genuine article, is the real thing. And everything else is kind of its illusion, which keeps them in this sort of limited pattern, this limited way of being. And they're being called to kind of purge these things, to close out these cycles in their life, to come into a greater peace within themselves, to kind of balance out that kind of disparity, these polarities, this battle between the head and the heart, to awaken and kind of transcend into, a greater capacity to experience joy and to experience love and to kind of get into alignment with their highest good and with their higher self in this life. So the higher self is knowing one thing and trying to send that information in. The heart is trying to really, send those kind of clues of resonance out to this person very loudly, but again, they're kind of their mind, their ego, that logical space is still very closed off, still very trapped in those cycles at this point in time. But that truth is kind of coming in, and it's bringing the idea of the truth will set you free. This person is in a point of kind of liberating themselves from the illusions that they've participated in and that they've maintained about you in this connection up to this point. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self for you now, group 3, and see what do they want to say. Okay, and they say, I am lost for words. So again, they are kind of closed off from that sort of heart space within them, not fully trusting in what it is they're feeling, questioning the signs that they are getting, not really sure what to say, how to articulate kind of what is resonating within them, the truth that they hold within them, because it's so different from the illusion that they have been sort of participating in and had convinced themselves and tried to convince you was sort of what they wanted, where their happiness really lies in this life. And they also say, I wasn't woke. So again, that idea of, kind of operating from a very limited perspective when you were dealing with them in the past. But that there is transformation which is taking place, these activations, these heart chakra activations, a spiritual awakening which is taking place, this transmutation of who this person is on an energetic level and in terms of their life, that they feel to be very much in that energy of resisting it, though at this point in time. This is a very resistant energy, but nonetheless, it is forces that are greater than this person that are, including their higher self, which is really intervening in kind of the divine here, that is really kind of forcing this person, bringing these things to their reality on a reoccurring and regular basis, in order to really wake up to the reality of what they have been participating in, kind of this very self-indulgent and kind of almost immature way of sort of looking at life and love, the potential that existed in this connection in the past and how they may have taken that for granted. They're being almost shaken awake by the universe to really kind of move beyond some cycles and to align with their highest good, to kind of step into that next phase of evolution in their life. And they also say love will conquer. So from their higher self, this is an energy of being relentless. The higher self will not give up. The heart is awake. It's registering these signs that are coming in, these dreams that are coming in. This person can only kind of run from this for so long. They can only continue to deny these things for so long. There's a sense of the heart really leading the way. This person, starting to kind of change from the inside out. But this is a change that may, involve many layers. It could be kind of a long process, a spiritual awakening and kind of this ascension journey that they've been postponing or kind of denying or pushing away or trying to numb out or dull out. And they also say there is no greater love than yours. So they are aware of the contrast between what they have felt with you, what has been sparked, most likely very initially upon meeting you, perhaps even very immediately within you, that might have been almost like a jolt, like an electric shock that is so different from what they've experienced with other people in the past, that they were both very drawn to that, very magnetized to that, and very overwhelmed by that, very afraid of what that was calling them to do, to step into this greater version of self, to step out of their comfort zone, to awaken the activations which had taken place within them, just energetically through your interactions with one another, physically or even remotely at a distance. If this is somebody that you've only encountered online, there has still been that transference of energy between the both of you. That is, they're trying to almost deny that or close that off or not look at that, not recognize that. With the logical mind, kind of dismiss that, argue that away, and say that's impossible. There's no way this can be so impactful. I only knew this person for a short period of time. I never even was in physical proximity to this person. I only, talked with them online, or, it was just kind of a very immediate sort of thing. It wasn't long lasting. It was a while ago. Maybe time has passed. But again, with that idea of time passing, time and space and you know, distance and physicality, these things being irrelevant in the world of energy, in the world of spirit, and that this truth is sinking in deeper and deeper to this person. It's becoming more and more apparent to this person. That struggle, that urge to kind of clench their reality away from this, it's almost easing into, again, this tranquility where something that they were kind of forcing, they are now sort of being lulled beyond that point. There's a greater balance and harmony within them. There's something that is being awakened or softened within them in terms of their perception of this connection and the potential that exists here. And they also say it's tough to share my feelings. So this can tie in with somebody who's very emotionally avoidant, emotionally immature, somebody who either doesn't have a lot of experience in love and connection or had never really had any kind of a profound love connection and didn't know how to put to words what it is that they are feeling. And this can also tie into these profound changes that are happening that are very difficult to articulate. And it ties in with that idea of I'm lost for words. They don't know how to express what is happening to them. And so it's just easier to remain distant and to kind of avoid you, to try and, you know, really sort of stuff this away and push this away because it's so overwhelming what is happening within them. And they also say, I don't understand these feelings I have. So confirmation right there of a sense of overwhelm, a sense of not being sure why they have been so profoundly affected by you, what this means, a bit of fear that is causing them to be defensive or to try and turn away from this. A balancing which is taking place though, where the more they're starting to, you know, enter into a place of comfort with this, instead of fearing the otherness of that, leaning into that, gaining that perspective, you know, that these cycles that they are involved in other ways in their life, the less kind of satisfaction that yields, the more they are able to then kind of turn to that point of contrast where, you know, even across space and distance and time, they still feel kind of this very profound connection and attraction to you in a sense of kind of homeostasis in that, and that it's very much, it's different from what they are experiencing in other areas of their life. It's still something that they're in the process of needing to really work through. There's a lot of confused energy in here, a lot of back and forth energy that's very difficult to even articulate and put to words. This person is kind of all over the place with this, leaning toward it, fearing it. You know, it's almost like trying to explain concepts without having the words for that, trying to decipher a language they are unfamiliar with, this language of the heart. So somebody who's still kind of in this process of sorting through that, coming to terms with who they are, with what has been awakened within them, with what is changing within them. Somebody who kind of has cycles and phases that they need to move through in order to be able to kind of create change within themselves or to surrender to the change that is happening, which then may possibly in the future yield the opening for change in the circumstances between you in a more sort of profound and measurable way. So I'm going to take a look at these cards now. This will be the guidance from Spirit about the situation. And we have stalemate, a stalemate situation. Someone needs to take decisive action. So this ties in very beautifully with this idea of kind of these polarities and this person being very all over the place, very resistant to this, to what they, you know, are feeling, not being sure how to really express that, how to make sense out of all of this, feeling very overwhelmed by it, starting to sort of soften to that, but nonetheless being very closed off to openly addressing this or looking at this or acknowledging these feelings in some way. And so the guidance here is to really to try and detach from this situation at this point in time. This person is still a work in progress, spiritually speaking, and there are many layers that they need to go through within themselves to, you know, kind of move through this awakening, which has been sparked and spurred and initiated by this connection. Somebody who is needing to come into a greater sense of self and to really do that compare and contrast who they are to what has been awoken within them, compared to what they are entertaining in their sort of 3D reality, and then further comparing that to sort of that sense of safety and comfort that they have felt in your presence, which might be very confusing for them. So this is an energy of maybe kind of a long-term situation here. There's still some more growth in the long term that needs to happen within this person, and so you're really being guided to kind of take pull your energy back from this situation, take your power back from this circumstance, that this person has, again, this internal work that they need to do very privately at this point in time. It's nothing that you can rush or that you can do for them. And kind of for your own best interest, for your own peace of mind, it may be time to, move forward on your own healing journey or open up to other possibilities with the trust that, if this person is intended to align with you in your life, to be in your life in a physical or romantic capacity, in the general scheme or the general plan of your life, trusting that further down the road, they will take the steps necessary to meet you at your level. And we also have obstacles. Unhealed wounds are blocking forward movement. So again, this ties in with that idea of a stalemate, really holding on to expectations, holding on to that spark, that beautiful awakening that it feels really happened with the two of you, and a confusion that you may have with why this person has responded the way in which they've responded to such a very moving experience. This ties in with the idea of kind of fears of commitment, maybe feelings of inadequacy as far as the love that they have to give, or a clinging to, certain outdated pattern or a lifestyle or behaviors or choices that they've been making that they need to heal within themselves. Whatever sort of frustration or feelings of unrequited love this is brought up within you, now's the time to really, again, take your power back from externalizing on this person and do that internal healing work within yourself. Unblock the barriers that you may have set up or are discovering were put in place, from your upbringing or from other heartbreaks of the past that are impeding your ability to hear the truth of your heart, and to move in that direction very fearlessly. When we cling to outcomes and, we actively kind of put our life on hold, in response or, with kind of the consideration of waiting till somebody else, makes a move or takes action or kind of holding somebody's place in line, we're not living from our full authenticity. We are not living with our highest good in mind. That is not self-loving behavior. That is giving our power away, making our happiness and our productivity in this life contingent on the actions of others. And so it's almost this idea of kind of someone getting in their own way in this circumstance. That there are other experiences, that these profound changes, it feels that both of you are having these things. Both of you have really been awakened by this connection, a lot of activations, and there's a greater experience and purpose for these things outside of this connection. The two of you may need to walk separate paths for a period of time. Perhaps if through free will this person chooses not to do the work, you may need to continue to move forward nonetheless. If that's the case, the universe will align you with, a very suitable substitute to this person. That doesn't negate the place that they hold in your heart, but it's saying that the universe doesn't want you to be lonely and kind of isolated forever. But at this point in time, you really need to prioritize kind of what is surfacing within you. What is the work that you can do to kind of unstick yourself from whatever has really occurred in this circumstance, whatever loops or cycles you continue to kind of go through with this person, whatever holding pattern you find yourself in. Somebody needs to take action, and if this person continues to kind of cling to an outdated version or to stubbornness, then it needs to be you to be the one to take that step forward, shake up this energy, shift this energy for the two of you, to do it for yourself, which can have kind of these beautiful, unintended, and yet very real and reciprocated consequences energetically upon this person. Your movement forward inspires and kind of again creates that energetic dissonance between the two of you that is that clue or that invitation for them to also kind of make changes within themselves. And we also have bring peace to troubled waters. So this is again that encouragement to really do what you need to do for yourself to kind of calm yourself in this circumstance. Any kind of panic, any kind of frustration that you've been feeling about this person, more and more time kind of passing and them just repeating the same cycles, and the troubles that is giving you, the sense of, feeling very rejected by this person, or a sense of disappointment. You consider this your forever person, your twin flame, your soulmate. And why would something so beautiful be sparked and awakened only to have, the two of you kind of be at a distance from one another? That this is an invitation to create that peace for yourself, to not wait on this person to be that source of peace, but to, calm your own storms, to be your own comfort, to become that love you wish to receive from another. and to really enter into this place of trust that, as stormy as this circumstance might seem right now, as, impossible as it may seem for this person to make some kind of marked or measurable change, miracles are possible with these owls. This is the energy of magic, and kind of like expect the unexpected. Don't make these changes for yourself with that in mind. When we motivate ourselves, based on kind of what that's going to do for somebody else, the yield is often less fecund than it would be as if we are making these choices and changes for ourselves first and foremost, moving in the direction of abundance and gratitude and receptivity. And openness and trust that what comes to us, what is magnetized to us, is for our highest good. Opening up to love, and kind of disconnecting from that being tied to a very specific person helps to put you in alignment with that vibration, so that in the time and manner it is meant to, you will align with that which your heart is seeking, to be that peace for yourself, to calm your own storms in these circumstances, to move in the direction of things which bring you joy, to move out of this stuck energy and into flow. Flow with the universe, trust in the universal plan, asking for divine guidance and trusting in what you are receiving, following those nudges, and moving forward even if you aren't sure what the destination is. With this idea of expect the unexpected, it is quite possible that further down the road, this person will meet up with you. These changes within them will not stop for this person. The signs that they are getting, that what has been activated within them cannot be turned off. That heart light has been turned on, and there is no silencing it from this point in time. Their path, their journey, and their process may look very different from yours. So the important thing is to really, again, focus first and foremost on self. Focus first and foremost on moving beyond any kind of stagnancy or kind of doubt that you hold within yourself. Cleanse and purify your heart space and your energy, and open up to receive the greatest blessings of love and abundance that the universe has in store for you. So I'm going to close this reading with some initials. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got P, H, A, M, I, S, C, R, O, B, T, V, Z, F, and W. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.